Today we're going to be talking about history books. I'm going to give you 3 history books that I recommend. They're a little bit more obscure history books, so we're not going to be talking about like Bill Bryson's A History of the World. I've never read a Bill Bryson book, even though people keep telling me to. I just never got into it. But these are going to be slightly more obscure and slightly more like specific places and or time periods that, you know, I quite like. So if you are interested, the book's going to be in the description down below for you to pick up. But let's get right into it, starting off with Palestine, a 4,000-year history. I have spoken about this book before in the past, but basically this book looks at the history of the region where Palestine is over the past 4,000 years and actually dispels many of the myths that the current state of Israel tried to perpetuate to allow them to, you know, lay a claim to the land, because that's kind of what Israel uses archaeology and history for. They basically take it and are like, yeah, this means it's just been one continuous state for the past 4,000 years, guys. And this book is really great at dispelling that. Obviously, you know, if you're not someone who's into ancient history, so, you know, Common Era history and whatnot, maybe the first part of the book might not be as interesting for you, but it's still like a lot of cool and interesting stuff that comes up. And then obviously it does go into a lot of depth for the past 100, 150 years as well, which is kind of more the modern history and more in line with what we kind of see happening right now in Palestine. Really interesting book. I think it's one that I think a lot of people started reading it, you know, after October 2023. It's definitely when I read that book as well. It's not really one that, you know, kind of, I don't know, the 100 Years War on Palestine, I think is the more well-known book. And frankly, the one where I would say is like, you have to read this book, The 100 Years War in History. But Palestine, a 4,000-year history is actually also a very interesting read, especially as someone who kind of likes, you know, ancient history and, you know, has likes reading history from all across a time period. So that's why I recommend this book to you, and it's very different from other ones. Up next, I want to talk to you about AMRITSAR 1919 by Kim Wagner. This book is all about the AMRITSAR massacre. If you don't know what the AMRITSAR massacre is, it was Britain's single biggest massacre in colonial times. Basically, these people were gathering for a non-violent protest against, you know, British occupation in India and, you know, kind of some tax and things like that. And British soldiers just opened fired on all of these people. And the reaction to it in Britain and the Indian subcontinent at the time were varied, and this book kind of goes into what led to this, you know, kind of the history behind it and kind of what made British soldiers so comfortable just massacring people who were non-violently protesting, and then also talking about the circumstances of the day, and then also goes on to talk about the outcomes of it, kind of the reactions in Britain, the reactions in the subcontinent, how it inspired many of the well-known freedom fighters that we know now from South Asia, and also kind of seeing how the British reacted and how it changed or didn't change British reactions and feelings to colonization in South Asia. Just also to say, Britain has never apologized for this. I think multiple times they've been asked if they want to apologize for the massacre. They have never gone so far as to say, we apologize for the massacre. They have said, I believe, like, oh, the massacre was bad, and they've acknowledged the pain and the hurt of the massacre, but they've never, like, given, you know, like states do this whole, here's an official apology for what we've done, etc., etc. I don't believe they've ever done that. I think David Cameron and Theresa May were pushed on it multiple times and just never happened, which is obviously a massive shame. A very quick honourable mention to William Dalrymple and all of his books. I know last year or the year before last year I was on a quest to read all of Dalrymple's books. That kind of fell off to the wayside because he has so many books and they're so long, and they're a little bit more expensive because they're very long and quite niche. But love William Dalrymple. He is extremely pro-Palestine as well. His son is also writing books as well, which will look very interesting when that comes out in a paperback. I'm going to pick up his son's book as well. Dalrymple had a book that came out late last year, and also when that comes, I think the paperback has just come out as well. So I think when both come out as paperbacks, I'll pick those up and read them. William Dalrymple, like one of the foremost historians on South Asia, and just like one of the few, you know, non-actually South Asian historians who very clearly fully understand the scope of South Asian culture and history, and like uses that to be very well informed. Like, he's lived in India, in Delhi, and he's traveled all around like Afghanistan, Pakistan, India and stuff for his books and his research. So very clearly well read and well researched, and like actually cares about what he's writing. So I really recommend William Dalrymple. Finally, I want to put you onto Insurgent Empire. I have spoken about this book before as well, but this book is slightly wider than the other ones. It's not just a specific area. It basically covers revolts and revolutions against the British Empire in particular, ranging from all across the world, so from Jamaica over to Kenya and also India. So one that's very nice and very broad and covers different revolts or revolutions against the British Empire, and, you know, kind of talking about how, for the most part, all of these violent revolutions and violent revolts were the kickstart to leading to freedom, independence from colonialization, from empire. I think it's a very important book to be reading right now, given what we are seeing globally and the impacts of colonialism, or if you want to call it neo-colonialism, that's happening right now in various parts of the world, from the Middle East to Africa to Asia. Even like if you want to incorporate corporations into this, all across South America too, even the United States itself too. So, very interesting book. Again, it kind of covers different places as well. So the first one, I think, in the book is in Jamaica, a revolt against the British there. And then I believe the second chapter is, I think, in India. So really cool, very wide. It goes to different places. A little bit difficult to read, especially maybe if, like me, you don't have all the prior knowledge of all of these places, but it does do a good job of laying down the groundwork, laying down the reasons behind what caused these specific events and kind of all of the threads that led to them, and gives some kind of post what happened and how it led to further things happening in the area. So a very interesting read too. You probably would have noticed all of these books I've mentioned are basically related to British colonialism. This is a case because I am someone who is interested in the history that has been impacted by the British Empire, simply because of my circumstances and where I live, and my culture and my interest in history. So obviously you might be disappointed. I personally haven't read a lot of books about, I don't know, US history, about history in other parts of Asia. I've not read anything about like South American history or even really African history outside of British colonization. So if you do have recommendations of any books like that, please let me know in the comments down below. I do want to start expanding my historical knowledge beyond stuff that's related to the British Empire and or kind of ancient history stuff, which I'm also interested in. So please do, I genuinely mean it, comment those down below. I will try and grab some more books of those. Before we move on to the outro, I want to say a special thank you to my members. Members get special access to a book club. They get additional videos. They get to help decide what videos we're making. They get input on thumbnails, scripting, all of that good stuff. So if you are interested, you can click join down below on this video or on my channel and join from as little as £1 a month. If not, regardless, thank you for getting to this point in the video. I highly appreciate it. Like, subscribe and share the video with a friend or family member, and I hope you read a great history book today. What was that?